Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Inspired Action, where we dive into the most pressing leadership challenges and hope to inspire you to take a more coach-centered and people-focused approach to leadership. I'm your host, Kyle Pertuis, and it's time to get started with our three amazing guests for today. Let me do a quick introduction to our guests, both Roxie and Sonja. Roxie Daneshvar, founder and principal of Torchbearer Coaching, Consulting and Training Solutions. She is an ACC-certified coach, leadership development consultant, and training specialist with more than a decade of experience helping individuals, teams, and organizations unlock potential and thrive. Sonja Crystal Williams. Sonja is a modern marketing leader, training teams, running a marketing agency, and leading growth at tech startups. She is also a trainer, a consultant, and partner and head of marketing at OneCredential. She's all about making online marketing make sense to anyone who wants to learn. Thank you both so much for joining the show. I cannot wait to dive into this question. Remember back to when somebody asked, or first observed some behaviors in you that may not quite serve you as well as you want them to as a leader. How did they acknowledge that and help you through it?
All right, I'll go for it. So I think two experience I had. I used to do pharma sales, and I had what I felt like was just one of the best managers ever. He had a lot of really great sayings. One of them was playing to your strengths. So he was very big in helping you learn how to play to your strengths. But he did the field rides with us and would point out some of the areas where we could improve. And I remember I kind of prided myself up to that point on feeling like I was a little bit of an adaptable person because I was an army kid growing up and grew up in a lot of different environments and had to deal with change. And I did find myself though at some points with where my territory was when I was doing sales, finding myself kind of being on this cusp of introverted yet extroverted, and I was in a sales role and I'm interacting with people, and my job was to go out and go into offices and talk to people. And my boss pointed out to me, Sonja, you got to work on and he said the word adaptability. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm adaptable. What are you talking about? You've got to learn how to turn the switch on and off when you go from one office to the next. And the truth of the matter is, that was probably the start of having that it brought into my awareness. I will admit, I didn't make the change right away. It really started to probably come full circle when, again, I left that career and started my own business and started to realize if I'm going to go out and network, that adaptability that I needed from the point that he was coming from, the way that he was kind of bringing in front of me, it was going to be required. So I started to work on it more by putting myself in some of more uncomfortable situations, what was uncomfortable for me, and pushing myself out of the comfort zone, and putting myself in environments and situations and conversations that I might have self-doubted. So that was probably the point where that came to me.
I love that. And the word adaptability. So I'm curious because I kind of saw myself the same way. We moved a lot too. Not because of military. I think now at this point in my life, I'm starting to think my parents were gypsies, but I know they were really just unsettled in a lot of ways. But we moved a lot. And that was one of those things where you kind of just learn to adapt and you just kind of blend in. And as I've done a lot of personal growth and development, I often wondered if, because I was so comfortable doing that, if people that were more challenged by bringing someone in from the outside looked at it as, well, who do they think they are? And they're, not real talkative. You just do what you do to become comfortable. Right. And so I'm going to let Roxie take this, but my word that kind of fell out of the adaptability discovery for me was approachability. And I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. Roxie, go ahead. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
All of that resonates so much. And it's interesting because you both mentioned moving around a lot. I moved around a lot as well. And so being kind, agreeable, easy to get along with, it just makes your life so much easier. It makes it easier to make friends, to build community. So it's natural that conditioning, we carried that into our adult lives. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think my coach in my leadership program, she really helped me look at, and she asked me great questions. Of course, she's not pointing things out. She's asking questions. She's like, all right, let's look at things that have served you. How have they served you? And then let's look at what you can release like to make space for the things that can serve you in your next chapter. So having a hard look at what has worked, what's not working, what do I need to let go of? That's advice I would give anyone who's moving and like leveling up into leadership journey. And it's just not advice that anyone really gives you, because if something has worked for you, you know, they say keep doing it. But at the same time, you have to look at how it's worked for the people around you and how it's, you know, it was the path of least resistance for leadership to give me everything because they knew I'd get it done. But at the same time, they like accountability is such a form of respect and trust, and they weren't putting that into folks, you know, who maybe needed a little bit more support or training to get things done. And so, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting you say accountability, and Sonja was talking a while ago about personal responsibility. And I think there's some blurred lines there, right? Because a lot of times accountability, people think it's somebody else that's going to hold you accountability when it's really about personal responsibility, right? Is taking ownership of what it is you say you're going to do, complete, fulfill, whatever, right? Yeah, I love that. And I want to kind of connect that back to, Sonja also said something about the introvert and extrovert. And I joke a lot. So much of our work as trainers and consultants has to have us out with people and high energy and all of those things. And I love that. I love that kind of work. But man, there are times when I am at home and there are things to be done on the weekend, or we're going to go to an event or something with our church or whatever it is. I am perfectly fine just being very reserved and not speaking with anyone. And I don't mean it to be offensive, but then I think back to something, and it's interesting. It sounds like the people that you illustrated, at least in those examples, that may have helped you move past something to grow. One of my former partners was the one that told me I wasn't approachable. And I don't know that I ever believed it, but I took it at a truth at the time that they said that to me. And that stings when you are trying to grow a business, or you have, you know, at that point we had a couple of hundred people in our business that I had been very, very in tune with from hiring and training and developing and promoting and all those kind of things. And then think, wow, I'm unapproachable. What is it that they're not bringing to me that I need? And I think so much of that was at the tail end of my partnership. And I had already gone into being withdrawn. And I didn't realize that maybe that was having an impact on people who didn't know the whole story that was going on in my head. Right. And so I think those are things that are so important as leaders to elevate awareness around. And even if it's going back, as we just did, you guys kind of searching in the depths of your careers and trying to figure out, well, who was it? Who did I work with, or who inspired me? I mean, if we remember, like Sonja had a quote, right? He used to have these great quotes. And if we remember that from somebody, that's an impact, right? And I think those are the kind of things that we want to do as we set out and make an impact. Yeah. Awesome. Well, ladies, thank y'all so much. I know we could probably go on for another half hour. I think maybe one way I'll wrap this up is sometimes it's the truth that we avoid that is actually the truth that grows us, right? And I think it's sometimes just having to look in the mirror, or having someone that's willing to hold that mirror up for us. So thank you again for helping this be another great episode of Inspired Action. Everyone out there, please watch us every Thursday at noon Central on our LinkedIn channel, and anytime right here on YouTube at MindFit Coaching. Thank you. We'll see you soon. That's a wrap for another edition of Inspired Action, the Leadership Forecast. We're so grateful for our guests today and the impact they're making with the work they do. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel to watch the longer version of this episode, and be sure to like, comment, connect with, and follow me and each of our guests. You'll find all of our links in the caption of this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in every Thursday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern for new episodes.